Entry-level guitars. They can go for anything from under €100 or dollars to, well, I guess anything you're willing to pay. But a very popular price range, and something I think maybe you should aim for at least, is the 200 to 300 euro or dollar bracket. Enter two guitars in exactly that bracket: the Squier Affinity Strat and the Yamaha Pacifica 112. Today I'm going to be comparing these and seeing which one is better, which should you get when you buy your first guitar, or if you're buying an affordable Strat. Hello and welcome to another video with me, Elmo J. Karjalainen. It's good to have you along. You can call me this guy if my name is tricky to pronounce. Today I'm taking a look at two entry-level guitars, the Squier Affinity Strat and the Yamaha Pacifica 112. The Squier costs 200 here in Europe, and this one I think it costs 284 euros, so it's a bit more expensive than the Squier. Outward appearance is fairly similar, both are Strat-style guitars. This one, the Pacifica, only has one tone knob, whereas the Squier has two, and this has a humbucker, whereas this has three single coils. Other than that, they look fairly similar. On the back, pretty much the same. This one is made in China, whereas it doesn't say anything on the Pacifica where it's made. Probably in the Pacific, hence the name. So I'm going to try these out and say what I think. Let's start with the more affordable one, the Squier Affinity Strat. Now, this one, I've done a bit of repairs on this because it had huge fret sprout issues. You could really, really injure yourself on the fret ends. So what happens is the wood isn't totally dry. When it dries, it shrinks, makes the frets stick out a bit, and it's a fairly common problem in entry-level, budget-friendly guitars. All of the Squiers that I've had here have had the same issue. This one was the worst though. I've done a review of both of these guitars, by the way, previously, so I'll link to those in the description. I won't do a kind of in-depth review. I'm using my Marshall 50-watt Plexi, and I have a Strymon Riverside overdrive in front of me. This is the clean signal, it's not entirely clean. Let me tune. I don't understand, it was in tune when I bought it. It's really very bright. Turn down treble a bit because I normally set it for my guitars, which aren't as bright as this one. Play AC/DC with minor chords. Sounds terrible. The face I was making there was because this tone pot is not wired to the bridge pickup. That annoys me a bit. Yeah, those are some of the tones from this. The pickups are very bright. Even when I EQ'd, I've turned treble down a fair bit and presence as well, and it's still extremely bright. Now we have the Pacifica. The neck is a bit thicker than on the Squier, and it has a humbucker in the bridge. Those are kind of maybe the main differences. One difference is that this hasn't had any fret issues, no fret sprout whatsoever, and I've had it here now for a while, so it should have developed something by now if it was going to do it. Fret sprout is not a terribly big issue, but it can be very annoying, especially if you don't have the tools to do anything about it. You might have to pay someone else to do something about it. If you're a beginner, you really don't want any kind of extra issues, because learning guitar can be hard enough as it is, so you don't want any extra frustrations. But this has had no fret sprout issues, which probably means that they've let the wood in the neck wood dry out properly before actually fixing it onto the body of the guitar and making a neck out of it and all of that stuff. Anyway, bottom line, no fret sprout. So, let's see what this sounds like. And when we've heard this guitar, I'll say which one I prefer. Make a mistake and then repeat it, and people will think that you actually meant it. Which in this case, they're probably thinking, why would you play that twice? That sucked. Let's try it with the overdrive. Okay, so those are a few of the sounds from these two guitars. Now, the humbucker in the bridge is a big difference. Some people prefer a humbucker, some people prefer the single coil. Personally, I actually like single coils more. The ones I use are stacked humbuckers, so they kind of get the best of both worlds. Noiseless pickups that sound like single coils, not exactly, but close enough. But really, playing these two guitars, I know this costs a bit more than the Squier, and that might account for some of the differences. But this is really, really way better than the Squier, in my opinion. It just feels so much better, plays so much nicer. I did have to fiddle with the truss rod on this because it was a bit... there was lots of buzz going on, but that was easily fixed. That's something that you can adjust yourself. You just watch on YouTube how to do that, and be careful. No big twists because you might break the truss rod. But you can do that yourself. This just feels way more quality than that. Both guitars, the pickups not great. You'd end up upgrading them if you kept the guitar. In defense of the Squier Affinity, I will say that budget-friendly guitars, they can have huge differences in quality from one guitar to the other, so you might find an Affinity that's brilliant. That one is not. And likewise, you could find a Pacifica that's terrible, but this one isn't terrible. This is actually quite good. It's not brilliant, but quite good, especially considering the price. So yeah, these two, I would definitely go for the Pacifica. One final note, though, is that actually I wouldn't go for either one of these. I would, if I was on a budget of, let's say, 250 euros, I wouldn't look at anything new. I would look at second-hand guitars, and if you're comfortable buying stuff on eBay, that's a great place to find good bargains. Especially if you can return the guitar, if there is a returns policy, that's brilliant. But second-hand guitars, you won't run into the kind of, let's say, fret sprout issues, neck issues, all kind. They'll have had their kind of baby problems already. You'll get more value for money when you buy a second-hand guitar, generally speaking. So, but out of these two guitars, I'd definitely go for the Pacifica, even though it's a bit more expensive. In my opinion, of these two guitars, it's definitely worth the added money. So, if you want to watch more of my gear reviews, there's a playlist here somewhere, and I hope you liked the video. Click like if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification thing. Comment. Let me know if you have any experience with either of these guitars or any other budget-friendly guitar that I should look into. Leave suggestions. And join me on Patreon because I buy the gear that I review, so I get an honest review. Plus you get a bunch of exclusives, all my music. You can take it all, even for free if you want it. But you can pay as well if you want. So there's a link in the description to that. Other than that, I hope to see you in another video. Take care. Goodbye.